First off, I want to start out by saying the Nissan Altima is not a bad car. In fact, I think it's pretty good. But when you stack it up to its two biggest competitors, the Honda Accord, the Toyota Camry, I think it's a solid third place car. In fact, I would put the Accord first. I just test drove one of those a couple months ago. Absolutely love that car. Toyota Camry, it's getting a little bit old, but it's still a solid ride. Right after that, I would put the Altima. Now, I've driven this car for 7 days and I found 7 things that have annoyed me. For context, this is a 2022 S base model rental spec. So there are a couple of these things that I found that could be fixed if you upgrade it to a higher trim level. Number 7, hubcaps. Really, Nissan? You want to go against Honda and Toyota and come with a $26,000 car that has plastic hubcaps? Look how scraped up and awful these are. It's 2022. Get your act together and put some real rims on your car. Number 6, there's no Apple CarPlay on the standard model. Now, it does have Bluetooth, which, is usually fine, but even this thing is a little wonky. So I'm playing music through Spotify right now. You can see the artist and the song, as you should. Now watch when I plug in my phone. If you go back to Bluetooth, it says that there's no Bluetooth device connected. Well, nothing changed. It should still be there. So you lose Bluetooth when you plug it in. Instead, you have to go to this option, the iPod. You read that right, an iPod. Now, they don't even make iPods anymore, and they had stopped making iPods by the time this car was even manufactured. I'd be willing to bet that over half of teenage drivers don't even know what an iPod is. That song is still playing on my phone, as you can see right here, through Spotify, but you wouldn't know it by the screen. That's because it doesn't send any album data or song data as most cars would. It only pulls from music that's actually downloaded to your phone, like in your iTunes. So old school. No one does that anymore. Everyone streams music. This is a terrible design. So you're going to be playing songs, but you're not going to know what you're playing unless you actually look at your phone, which is very dangerous and therefore a garbage infotainment system. Number 5 came about from a real life scenario. I had a bunch of clothes I wanted to donate and I went to pop the trunk and I did this from the fob and all it did was click. It actually doesn't pop. So if you got your hands full of stuff, you have to go and manually push the trunk up. I don't think it would be that much of an ass to get a system that when you push it, it pops the trunk. Now this next one is certainly not going to apply to everyone, but it does to me because I have giant feet. I wear a size 14 shoe. And number 4 is the pedal placement, specifically the gas pedal. They shoved it too far in the corner here, and it's so tight to the brake pedal that I find myself either hitting the brake pedal if I want some room on this side, or feel like I'm squeezing my foot against the corner, and it's almost difficult to get full acceleration. It's really tight. It's noticeably tighter than any car I've driven in recent memory. Number 3 is the poor resolution of the backup camera. Now, in these days when we can have an amazing camera fit inside our tiny little phones inside our pocket, there's no excuse that the one on your car is this bad. As you can see here, there's a car right there. It's a Range Rover. It's about 20 feet away, but it's really tiny and blurry on the screen. It is close enough you can see the plate in the back bumper here, and you do get guides of red, yellow, and green for your safe zones, but there's no cross traffic alert. There's no backup sensors on this car. You're solely relying on the camera, and you have to rely on it even more because you're about to find out another big problem in number 2. Now for the number 2 issue, the Altima is certainly not the only offender in this. In fact, I found the same problem when I drove the Honda Accord. It is limited visibility. Now, it's no secret that Americans are flocking into SUVs because, for one, you get to sit up higher, you got a better command of the road, and you have more greenhouse space. These new sedans have very little glass. I'm going to pull out the trusty measuring tape. We'll see what we got here. So at its peak, your viewing of glass, you have 15 inches. That's not a ton here. The side visibility is okay. The one that really concerns me on this is the rear visibility. It seems like you can't see anything. I have a theory that the back is much, much higher than the front of this car. So first I'm gonna measure the bottom of the windshield to the ground. Let's see how much that is. So that puts us at about 39 inches. That's 3 feet and 3 inches from the bottom of the windshield to the road. I suspect that this one is gonna be much, much higher. So I'm gonna call that 44 inches. It is 5 inches higher from the front to the back. On top of that, Nissan decided to put their third brake light right in your center vision on the bottom. So add another 2 inches to that, and it feels like you are totally blind out the backside. I'm gonna hop in the car so you can get a better idea of what I'm talking about. So to demonstrate this, I've mounted the camera right where the rear view mirror is. You're basically getting an exact look at what I see out the back. And compare that back window to the side windows. You see how much more space there is over there? That window seems really small. It's a large piece of glass, but that angle on it means that the height of it is very small. And as I mentioned earlier, you can see that third brake light. It's right in your prime line of view, so you're losing valuable real estate. Although not a complete deal breaker, I think it really hinders your driving experience in this car. And your side view mirrors aren't doing anything to help your visibility either. They actually start close to the car up front and then angle outwards. So you lose a lot of space that could potentially be more viewing area of your mirror. So you're left with a pretty small mirror, and to top it off, there's no blind spot monitor system either. And one bonus honorable mention annoyance, if you've watched any of my other videos, most of the time I like to do a horn score and judge how the horn sounds, because I find it particularly important, especially here in LA. No one is paying attention. Everyone's on their phone. Well, that's not possible in this car because I picked it up. First time I went to honk the horn, nothing. I went 7 whole days without a horn. I'm going insane. But I guess my biggest complaint of this car is the anemic acceleration. No one's gonna step out of this and go, wow, I just rode in a sports car. I mean, it's adequate and it works, but when you're in this competitive segment, especially with huge sellers like the Accord and the Camry, you gotta be better than that. Now, there is another engine. It's a 2-liter turbocharged engine in the top of the line SR model, but there's one problem with that. If you live in the snow belt and you want an all-wheel drive car, which is not offered in the Camry or Accord, this is where Nissan finally had an advantage. They don't let you get the better engine in that. You are stuck with the engine that is in this car, and I can't imagine that that is any better, because if you add all-wheel drive to a car, you're just making it even heavier. Now, one thing I should note that I thought was pretty funny, most cars that have a sport mode or any other kind of fun driving mode, it's very well advertised all throughout the car. This one just has a tiny little switch, which I'm going to engage right now, under the shifter. It is unmarked. It does not say sport. It doesn't say anything at all. In fact, when you engage it, your dashboard doesn't even say you're in sport mode. It just puts a tiny little S next to the drive shift selection, and it bumps up your RPMs just slightly. In fact, I didn't even know it was sport mode at first, because it makes that little bit of a difference. I'm in sport mode right now. I'm gonna hammer it down. Let's see how it sounds. I don't think it's any faster. It just makes the engine a little bit louder. But I guess the advantage to that is you do get over 30 miles per gallon still. I was averaging 31 miles per gallon with the city, and even going up mountains like this. So definitely cross shop the Altima, but take a look at the Accord and Camry, and I think you're gonna find that this car isn't quite as good. But I will say you could probably find a rebate or two at a Nissan dealer, because it's still really hard to pick up a Honda or Toyota at MSRP today. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if you could please like, share, and comment. And And also hit me up on social media. You can find me everywhere at Car Snubs. I will see you in the next ride.